EU. Antitrust fines Apple $1.95 billion over music streaming. Europe's Digital Markets Act is forcing tech giants to make changes. JetBlue Spirit ending $3.8 billion deal merger. Vibrant posters for Paris Olympics inspired by city's flamboyant past.
Hello, I'm Johnny. Thank you for joining us on Funday News. It's Friday, March 8th, and here are your top stories. The European Commission on Monday hit Apple with a 1.8 billion euros antitrust fine for abusing its dominant position on the market for the distribution of music streaming apps. The Commission said it found that Apple had applied restrictions on app developers that prevented them from informing iOS users about alternative and cheaper music subscription services available outside of the app. The Commission alleged that Apple also banned developers of music streaming apps from providing any instructions about how users could subscribe to these cheaper offers.
Today, the Commission has fined Apple 1.84 billion euros for abusing its dominant position on the market for the distribution of music streaming apps.
This is Apple's first antitrust fine from Brussels and is among one of the biggest dished out to a technology company by the EU. The European Commission opened an investigation into Apple after a complaint from Spotify in 2019. The probe was narrowed down to focus on contractual restrictions that Apple imposed on app developers which prevent them from informing iPhone and iPad users of alternative music subscription services at lower prices outside of the App Store. According to the Commission, Apple's conduct lasted almost 10 years and may have led many iOS users to pay significantly higher prices for music streaming subscriptions because of the high commission fee imposed by Apple on developers and passed on to consumers in the form of higher subscription prices for the same service on the Apple App Store.
Europeans scrolling their phones and computers this week will get new choices for default browsers and search engines, where to download iPhone apps, and how their personal online data is used. They are part of changes required under the Digital Markets Act, a set of European Union regulations that seeks tech companies classed as gatekeepers. Amazon, Apple, Google parent Alphabet, Meta, Microsoft, and TikTok owner ByteDance will have to start following by midnight Wednesday. The DMA is the latest in a series of regulations that Europe has passed as a global leader in reining in the dominance of large tech companies. Tech giants have responded by changing some of their long-held ways of doing business.
It's the EU's stab at reining in the biggest of big tech, the so-called gatekeepers. Voted through in July 2022, the Digital Markets Act is aimed at preventing these tech giants from exploiting their monopoly.
The new rules have broad but vague goals of making digital markets fairer and more contestable. They are kicking in as efforts around the world to crack down on the tech industry are picking up pace. Some 22 services, from operating systems to messenger apps and social media platforms, will be in the DMA's crosshairs. They include Google services like Maps, YouTube, the Chrome browser and Android operating system, plus Amazon's Marketplace and Apple's Safari browser and iOS. Meta's Facebook, Instagram and WhatsApp are included, as well as Microsoft's Windows and LinkedIn. The companies face the threat of hefty fines worth up to 20% of their annual global revenue for repeated violations or even a breakup of their businesses for systematic infringements. The Digital Markets Act is a fresh milestone for the 27-nation European Union in its long-standing role as a worldwide trendsetter in clamping down on the tech industry.
JetBlue Airways and Spirit Airlines are ending their proposed $3.8 billion merger weeks after a federal judge blocked the deal, saying it would hurt consumers who depend on Spirit's lower fares. JetBlue said Monday that even though both companies still believe in the deal, they were unlikely to meet the closing conditions required in the agreement before a July 24th deadline. JetBlue's new CEO, Joanna Girardi, called the merger a bold and courageous plan intended to shake up the industry status quo and speed JetBlue's growth.
Girardi said in a memo to employees of New York Airlines. However, with the ruling from the federal court and the Department of Justice's continued opposition, the probability of getting the green light to move forward with the merger anytime soon is extremely low. She said uncertainty over the merger's fate was distracting the airline from its effort to return to profitability. Spirit CEO Ted Christie said he was disappointed that the airlines could not combine and create a new challenger to the nation's four biggest airlines, but said he is confident that Spirit, which has been losing money since the pandemic started, can succeed on its own. The Justice Department sued to block the merger last year, saying it would reduce competition and drive up fares, especially for travelers who depend on low-fare Spirit.
Vibrant colors and striking landmarks illuminate posters for the Paris Olympic Games in an Art Deco style inspired by the city's flamboyant past. The posters were unveiled on Monday at the Musée d'Orsay, a former railway station transformed into an imposing museum stretching along the Seine River. In the presence of Paris 2024 Director of Design Joachim Ronzi and the artist behind them, Ugo Gattani. Among the most striking is the Eiffel Tower piercing through the Stade de France, as if forming a giant cake mixing together two crucial ingredients, Paris' most famed landmark and its national stadium.
Spectators on the posters have expressions on their fresh faces that are perfectly captured. It's like they are frozen in time, enjoying a giant and timeless party somewhere, on a balcony admiring ballroom dancers, or guests at a grandiose fete thrown by the great Gatsby himself. Ronson told the Associated Press in an interview from the artist's studio prior to the unveiling, "I don't want it to be something dull like only a poster with only a logo and a date on it, which they usually are. I want to tell a story. I want it to be something very happy, because it's going to a huge party. I want it to be very joyful. Hopefully people will be inspired by these posters." There are many eye-catching images to absorb.
The answer for yesterday was C, laden. I came home laden with cardboard boxes. Did you answer correctly? Now let's delve into the news of EU Antitrust fines Apple $1.95 billion over music streaming. Number 1, alternative, 可供替代的. Do you have an alternative solution? Number 2, dominant, 首要的，占支配地位的，显著的. The firm has achieved a dominant position in the world market. Number 3, conduct, 人在某种情况下的行为举止. The sport has a strict code of conduct. Next, we have a multiple choice question for everyone to practice. Which answer would you choose? You can write your answer in the comment section. The correct answer will be announced tomorrow. And that's all for today's Funday News. Be sure to tune in to Funday News from Monday to Friday and click the link below to join Funday for free. I'm Johnny Wu, your host. I'll see you next time.